Hi, so this video is going to be about MBTI types as represented by different regions in the United States. And I'm sure that other people have done this type of video as well, but this is just going to be my take on it. And this is obviously based on stereotypes, and obviously people of all different types live in all the different regions of the world and the United States. But this is just going to be kind of the vibes that each region gives off to me, in my opinion. So, first region I'm going to talk about is the region that I live in, which is the Pacific Northwest. And I think that this best correlates with the NF types, the intuitive feelers, because there's a dreamy, moody quality to this region. We have a lot of forests and mountains and a really wide variety of climate that sometimes people don't necessarily think about. For example, there are rainforests in Washington, which is interesting, and then there's also extremely arid regions, which goes along with the wide variety of emotions that intuitive feelers deal with. And there's a stereotype that it rains here all the time, which isn't true, especially east of the mountains. For example, look, I don't live east of the mountains, but look, it's very sunny outside today. It's not always raining, but that's a very gloomy NF thing, is just rain all the time. And there's also, people here are prone to protesting about anything and everything, and typically this is associated primarily with left-leaning causes, but not necessarily, because if you remember a few years ago, there was the situation where some ranchers in Oregon took over a wildlife refuge, and that was a whole weird situation. And everybody here says that they love the outdoors, they love hiking, all this, but we also spend a lot of time at home being hermits, probably more so than being outside, even though we love to talk about how much we love being outside. I think that's a very NF thing. And I would think that Idaho is the exception to this. Idaho does not fit in with the NF types. I think Idaho would be ISTP because they're the off-the-grid prepper type that just wants to be left alone. And maybe put Montana with that too, depending on your definition of Pacific Northwest. And so for the rest of the West, I would say that that is the SFP types and also the NTP types, because you have this duality of laid-back, hippie type of people that they just want to have a good time and hang out with their friends and enjoy good food and cool scenery, whether it's at a museum or the Redwood Forest, for example, being outside in the natural world, actually hiking, and being into maybe crystals and tarot cards and astrology. I think that's an ISFP and ESFP thing. And also the proneness to maybe being a little bit more vain than some other regions, because there's the focus on fashion and appearance, and so there's a lot of cosmetic procedures that people have done, and it's kind of just the normal thing, and that's fine, that's what they do. So you have the SFP and also NTP types, because there's Silicon Valley and there's a lot of technological innovation that comes out of the western states as well, not just Silicon Valley. So you have this kind of dueling dichotomy of things in the West. And for the South, I would say that is the SFJ and STP types, because Southern hospitality, being really welcoming to everybody and focused on people and family especially, that's an SFJ thing. And I've noticed that to me, Southern accents, they kind of radiate warmth, and this person cares about you, and they're going to make you good food and take good care of you, and that's an SFJ thing, obviously. And I think people in the South tend to be more religious overall than people in other parts of the United States, which goes along with traditional values in that respect. And so you have that combined with the just wanting the government to be not interfering in daily life, and when the situation arises, fighting it back against that type of intrusion, especially in Texas. It's an STP thing, and then also the many, many Florida man stories that you see on the internet, STP thing. And for the Midwest, I would say that that is the SFJ and STJ types, because they quietly keep the country running, essentially, because a lot of manufacturing and farming happens there, and they don't get a lot of recognition for it. Every 4 years, politicians pretend like they care about the people in the Midwest, and the media pretends like they care. But most of the time, they just kind of dutifully do the work, and it's sometimes out of a duty to their family, because for farmers in particular, that might have been in their family for generations, and that's what their family does, is farm. And so they take a lot of pride in that. So it's out of duty to family and sometimes country as well. So, yeah, and there's the kind of generational legacy thing, and I think that's kind of an SI thing. And for the East Coast, and in particular New York and New Jersey, I would say it's the NTJ, ESTJ, and STP types, because to me, people on the East Coast are a lot more intense. Even if they're a nice person, they're a lot more intense than people on the West Coast, and I know that I could never, I don't think, function all that well on the East Coast. There's a lot of type A personalities over there, just very no nonsense, I think, and they can be very job focused, especially in New York. Even if somebody is a stockbroker or an artist, it doesn't really matter what the job is, they're very passionate and intense about it. Whereas somebody who's an artist in California and they're an ISFP, they'll still be a pretty laid back, kind of more hippie person than the artist from New York. That's what I'm trying to say. And for Alaska and Hawaii, I'm going to do those two separately because they're not really part of any other region. So for Alaska, I don't associate a type with Alaska, but I would say it's NISE, because to me, Alaska represents kind of freedom and just a lot of natural beauty up there, because they have just so much of it. And I think the Aurora Borealis is NISE as represented by nature. I just think it's one of the most beautiful things in the world. And for Hawaii, I would say SFP types, ISFP and ESFP, because they're pretty chill, and again, there's a lot of natural beauty, obviously, on the islands of Hawaii, and culture is very important to them, and they're also very welcoming about it. The first thing, apparently, that what happens when you get off a plane in Hawaii is they put a lei around your neck. I've never been there, but that's apparently what they do, and they want to share that with the people who come. And I've noticed that people from Hawaii have very soothing and relaxing voices, and I think that's an ISFP thing in particular. So, anyway, that's my brief take on the MBTI types as represented by different regions of the United States. If you do agree or disagree or have any different opinions than me, I would love to hear them. Or any other questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you're having a good day. Bye.